Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. The only real change in the game, right? Now, a lot of people say the game has changed, and old and young say it, and that's not something I personally agree with overall. And the reason why I don't is just some basic stuff. It's still the same thing. Because a lot of stuff we're talking about now, as I pointed out when I did the series on crisis in black sexual politics, was happening in the 80s. And quite frankly, a lot of stuff was happening like as far back as the 20s. And I'm just going on what my elders were telling me. Like a lot of stuff we talking about now, they already been through it. It was just, only difference was maybe the context. People think social media has done changed something. And I'm like, dude, were you interacting back then? But that's not, and those changes are minor. But one thing I would consider a real change in the game is the LGBTQ trend, whatever you call that community. Because every year, no disrespect to them, because I know if I say something wrong, they be trying to snatch the channel or something. Let's be real. But no disrespect. I'm like, it's so many darn letters and stuff. The gay community. Let's just say the gay community, right? That's made a big difference in the game. People don't realize that. Because one, what you have, and this is something, a project I might work on. I might even do like a on-demand video about it. But just the gender harmonics and the gender dynamics out here, right? Because, one thing back in the day, before the 70s, people had to stay in the you had gays and lesbians and whatever, cross-dressers as they called them back in the day, right? You had them. You knew about them, but they stayed their asses in the closet. They stayed on the low. One thing that's changed, at the very least, and this is bigger than actually the homosexual thing, but what you have is an increasing amount of women with masculine energy and then an increasing amount of men with feminine energy, right? So that's changing it all the way around. And that's not even just the... that's opening it up. See what the gay community did? They just opened it up for everybody to express their sexuality on the basis that they want to express it on. So a lot of times, like, for example, in the black community, and this is how this is affecting it. A lot of times, if you take an honest look at a lot of the women who are bashing black men, right? If you take an honest look, right? Always look at who they affiliated with, especially a lot of people saying some feminists and stuff, but there's a strong connection to the lesbian and bisexual woman community. And these women don't like men anyway, or ain't feeling men like that anyway. And then even in some cases, it has an effect because some of these women competing for the same women. I remember I worked on this job, and it was this butch lesbian sister, right? Aggressive type, right? And she was cool people, so I wasn't tripping over her sexual expression or anything, but I found it interesting. We talking about the same women at the job. And she was more aggressive about it. She was talking about one youngin' at the job, and I was like, how you don't know if she down for, how you know she'd be down for you? She's like, Rob, I'm just gonna shoot my shot. It's like, man. But that has an effect. Right? That has an effect on the game. So that's a different thing. And then the gender harmonics are different. Right? And I thought, that's actually what inspired this podcast, because I was out and about doing what Rom does, and I saw a couple. The woman had totally masculine energy, even had like a strong jaw. I was like, man, there's some guys out there who would pay for your jaw. Right? But her mate had she was muscular, strong jaw. Her mate was pudgy, more yin type of energy, right? Like, let me go metaphysical for a second. If you got more yang energy, masculine energy, you will tend to have harder muscles, more defined muscles. If you have less of it, especially if you're a man, your body will be more softer, right? Your body will be softer, right? Now that don't have an effect on how you being masculine and stuff, right? You still be it, but just on a chemical basis, your energy is going to be more lean towards the yin, right? That's why, I could break that down on so many levels, but that's why, like some of the more feminine women would actually be more, softer, like a physically softer body, right? So, but you got the different gender harmonics and stuff, so it's affecting how people are dealing with each other. Then, something that people ain't talking about, you got a whole lot of people out here who are, like in that bisexual community, right? Now, we haven't heard much about the DL thing, but of course that's going to affect relationships, right? Now, since this is a man's channel, I'll look at it from that thing. Y'all might not think it because you say, nah, I ain't rolling with that. It don't matter what you doing. Because first of all, you dealing with some woman who might be on that. So for one, you ain't just competing with Pookie and Ray, right? Shoot, you competing with Sheila and them, right? You competing with Sheila and them, and then there's some dynamics there, and that's actually an interesting dynamic. That's an interesting thing, because sometimes when you get some couples, right? Like let me give y'all some game, fellas. You ever see two women together? One's a butch lesbian, one's real feminine. Don't ever address the feminine one. If you're in business or something, and I learned this working in sales. If I come across those couples, I always just talk to the more masculine, because they take gender roles to an extreme degree. So, but that's something else. But that's affecting it all the way around, right? And like for those who, you want to approach and all of that, you got to keep in mind who are you competing with. One, and that's two things you got to look at. You got to think, okay, does this woman even like women? And it's like I said, some of the most feminine women be in a relationship with another woman. Some of the most feminine ones, right? So, you got to be concerned about that. Then you got, you competing with some women, and some of the women are cool. Let me just put that out there. You got a lot of maybe butch lesbians who are cool. They cool with dudes. But then some of them, of course they're going to put you down because you competition. So that's affecting some stuff. Shoot. It ain't really personal, but they shoot. You trying to get at that woman and that woman trying to get at that woman. And I've actually seen that dynamic. It's kind of funny if you see it in a closed space. It's kind of funny. All right. But that makes a big thing. And then, when you're dealing with the Amazon type of women, they got more masculine energy. They can't, if you masculine, you can't deal with them, because those are like two positive sides of a magnet trying to get together. It don't happen. Somebody got to be more masculine. Somebody got to be more feminine, right? So you got all of that. So that's like added to whatever used to have. Now, back in the day, the thing was, the reason why I say this is the only real change, they had to fake it. They had to be in the closet. That's why you have situations like, there were a lot of women who were really weren't feeling men, but they got married or something, and then the guy married them. He probably felt something was off, but they weren't paying attention to it. So it's more free. Now, I think it's actually a good change, and the reason why I think it's a good change is it's getting shit out in the open. You ain't messing with somebody, it's like, oh, damn, she got a fat ass, but, she ain't feeling dudes. And that's cool, because you get to know what's going on. But that's the real change. Nobody wants to talk about it. Like I said, like certain communities get like a little huffy if you mention them, even if it's not a bad thing. They think it's, he being that. I say, no, I'm just saying what is. And that's going to affect it. Like, you out there trying to holler, like you that dude, like you're more of an approach type of cat. You got to keep that in mind. And for my people on my private site, they know I did the Reading Women webinar. I just said, pointed out some of these things. In fact, that's one thing I do. I start, as soon as I see somebody else, I'm looking at it. I'm looking for reads on them. I'm trying to like gauge where they at. So anyway, I would tell y'all best type of women to look for, or what to look for to, like, you know, she'd be most receptive. But yeah, I know I'm a capitalist. So anyway, I'll get back with y'all. Talk to you later. Peace.